the god of the New World. Kira, Light Yagami versus the Lord of Crime, the criminal consultant, William James Moriarty. The two most notorious criminals known to media. They manipulate and outplan everyone who poses an obstacle to their goals, reshaping the world in their image. Who did it smarter? Let's find out. The first section is spatial, and these all go to Moriarty. Light only has a few spatial feats and none of them come close to Moriarty's spatial awareness. Light can hear the ticking of his watch and determine the time or keep track of the number of passengers and their placement on a bus. But Moriarty can tell a drug deal was going on simply because of the contents left at a crime scene, such as the blood and briefcase left behind, or noticing that in order to watch over their victims, the criminal targeting lower-class individuals could only have been doing so from a certain location. Moriarty is more detailed and uses it more often and more consistently, giving him this category with easy difficulty, which gives him the total points of 31 and Light with a 0. Next is interpersonal, and the first category is understanding your own intentions. This is close, as though without much detail it would seem like Moriarty would take this. However, Light is seen explaining his sights to a more specific degree, being more specific with his plannings and his thoughts than Moriarty is. Light takes this with hard difficulty. Next is understanding what you will do. This is also really close. Light seems to be more specific and more impressive in his understanding of his plans, while Moriarty is more consistent and sees the outcome to a better degree than Light does. This suggests that Moriarty is slightly better here. Moriarty gets this category with hard difficulty. Next is understanding your limitations. This is really close, as it seems Light knows his limitations more, but Moriarty has a better grasp of his limitations as to use them better. Light fully abuses the power of the Death Note, taking any piece he can of it to get an advantage over his opponents. In truth, it's his only advantage is knowing the limitations of the Death Note over his opponents that gives him a fighting chance in his mission. This is really close, but it seems to favor Light slightly in taking his limitations and using them to his advantage. While Moriarty does the same, it's not to as a specific degree, although they are both just as impressive as each other. Light takes this with hard difficulty. Next is understanding your knowledge. This is really close, as this is somewhat of a similar reason to limitations but his knowledge. Light fully understands the knowledge he has over everyone else and uses that to his advantage. However, Moriarty has slightly more knowledge than Light does and uses his knowledge in more varieties than Light does, which suggests this category favors Moriarty. Moriarty takes this with hard difficulty. Next is adaptability. This is really close, as both characters seem to be prepared for just about anything and both seem to be able to adjust to just about anything. They also both have only had one moment of unpreparedness, in that Light was caught in the end and Milverton manipulated Moriarty and revealed his identity. They also both have had situations of being extremely flexible, such as Light with Naomi and Moriarty on the cruise ship. Light seems to be slightly more impressive in adapting, but Moriarty seems to be slightly more prepared if he has to adapt. This shows that Light can adapt slightly more, where even sometimes when Moriarty is prepared he may not always be able to adapt as well. Light takes this with hard difficulty. Last is emotional control. Both characters are extremely good under pressure, never revealing even a slight crack in their facade. However, Light often gets emotional and makes mistakes where Moriarty does not. Moriarty takes this with medium difficulty. In the end, this was really interesting, as both characters were practically even in a lot of ways. So much so that they actually tied in this category, both gaining 8 points in total. Because it's a tie, the points will both be given to each side without adding the total points to either. Next is linguistics, and this actually seems to favor Light in all these categories. Both are excellent manipulators and can pick their words and conversation topics wisely. But Light has shown more consistent and more impressive feats, such as convincing Naomi to give up her ID. Moriarty can also be charming and persuasive, but most of the time the people he ends up manipulating are that of people who already trust him, while Light does similar things with people that don't trust him. Light picks words choices as to convince others of sharing information with her, keeping him company as to get to know them, which will also later reveal information. Light knows what he wants or what needs to be said, focusing on certain subject matter which gets others to converse with him. Moriarty and Light both are fairly decent in here, but Light seems to edge it out slightly, taking this with hard difficulty, which gives him the total points of 19 and Moriarty with a 0. Next is bodily kinesthetics. And the first category is upper body control. Both Light and Moriarty have shown decent upper body control, such as Moriarty's sword fight or Light's tennis match with Elle. It's tricky to say, but it seems to edge towards Moriarty here, as Light is also seen to do hand-to-hand with Elle, but on a seemingly average level of it, which suggests his upper body control is limited to certain things which can't be said about Moriarty. Moriarty takes this with hard difficulty. Next is lower body control, and this is close as well but seems to favor Light based on showings. Light has actively shown off more lower body control than Moriarty in both fighting and tennis, showing great mobility and pace as well, sending L flying across a room, which takes good posture to pull off. Moriarty has shown good stance as well, but with only one field of expertise. Simply Light has more showings here, so this suggests it favors Light, although with more we could see Moriarty taking this. However, we see Light take this with hard difficulty. Last is reflexes, and this fairly goes to Moriarty. While Light has shown good reflexes in tennis, he gets struck in the face by every one of L's kicks, not dodging or even maneuvering out of the way at all. Moriarty takes this with medium difficulty. Moriarty won more points, so he gets the total points of 17 and Light with 3. Next is interpersonal, and the first category is understanding others' intentions. This is close, but it seems to favor Moriarty here. Moriarty is more aware of the things other people desire and want compared to Light, who thinks more about himself. Moriarty knows why people do what they do, while Light is typically just planning for others. Moriarty takes this with hard difficulty. Next is understanding what others will do. This is really close, but it actually seems to favor Light slightly more here. Light predicts the actions of multiple people without much flaw throughout the series, such as Rape Number 1 getting his name, or forcing him to kill the FBI agents, or predicting the actions Ella and the task force would take once he lost his memories, or forcing Rem into a situation where she had to kill Elle. Moriarty is good at this too, but Light is slightly more impressive here, and he has just as consistent showings as well. Both Moriarty and Light have also been wrong about what others will do, such as Light with Mikami and Moriarty with Milverton. So overall this favors Light with hard difficulty. Next is understanding others' limitations. This is really close, but seems to favor Moriarty slightly more. Moriarty and Light both consider others' limitations, but Moriarty works within them better, whereas Light often ends up revealing something about himself which shows Moriarty knows how to prevent certain information from reaching the people he doesn't wish to know certain things. Moriarty takes this with hard difficulty. Last is understanding others' knowledge. This is really close, but it seems to favor Light here, as he takes full advantage of the fact Elle and the task force are unaware of the full capabilities of the Death Note, and even once they've gotten it, he still is able to abuse the rules to his advantage. Moriarty does similar things, such as taking the grapefruits and turning them into a sort of poison which his target was unaware of, but Light simply uses what information others lack much more often, which shows he abuses the knowledge which others have. Light takes this with hard difficulty. Surprisingly, Light ends up taking this section. Light simply has slightly more impressive showings of knowing how others think and what they will do, while incorporating that into his own plans, while Moriarty doesn't really need to do this as much as Light does. Light got more points, giving him the total points of 21 and Moriarty with 7. Next is Existential, and this is really close, as from the start of both series we see both characters come to a conclusion of what they want and what have to do to accomplish their goals. However, Light only figured this out at age 17 once he got his hands on the Death Note, and before that didn't really show much contemplation, unlike Moriarty, who was shown to have a fair understanding of his world and the problems within it and what is right and wrong. Moriarty is more consistent in his beliefs as well, where Light sees himself exempt from his own judgment and his actions are fair because he believes them necessary, where Moriarty knows that what he is doing is evil but still believes it necessary to accomplish his goals, but not excluding himself from his own judgment. Moriarty takes these with medium difficulty, giving him the total points of 12 points and Light with a 0. Next is logical, and the first section is gathering of information. This one fairly goes to Moriarty, as he simply is able to get his hands on more specific information that can help his cause, even being able to get Sherlock's own brother, Mycroft, to help him on some degree. Light is also able to get access to information, but it more so comes from his connections rather than him actually gathering it, compared to Moriarty, who uses his resources to more accurately gather information. Moriarty takes this with medium difficulty. Next is deductions of information. This easily goes to Moriarty, who is able to make better deductions with much less information. Only ever need one or two small connections to see a clear answer, where Light is still good at this. It's not as impressive or as consistent as Moriarty is. Moriarty takes this with easy difficulty. Last is how the information is used. Both Moriarty and Light create extremely detailed and complex plans to get what they want. Light has slightly more impressive showings in planning, but Moriarty is slightly more consistent. Typically, consistency beats impressiveness, but here it is so close that it doesn't make a drastic difference. Light's plans achieve much more, getting him closer to his destination faster than Moriarty, with more specific answers to conclude from his plans, while Moriarty's plans tend to reveal much less information but also don't gain him as much information in return. Moriarty's plans also tend to rely more on chance compared to Light's that focus more on specific qualities of characters' knowledge and limitations. As well, Light intended to reveal some of his information anyways to get closer to L. However, Moriarty's plans, while resulting in lesser information and a slower pacing than Light's, ended up working together better and achieving more in the end. Light was mostly focused on the one goal of killing someone with his plans, while Moriarty was able to gain allies through his plans, where Light only gained enemies. This is really close, as both use information to further their goals and gain others' assistance to aid in their sights, as well as moving up into higher positions of power as to gain more control over their environment. Light's plans are more impressive and they achieve results quicker, but Moriarty's plans achieve more important information. While Light's plans tend to force others' hands more, while Moriarty's give him more control over future situations, where Light's plans give him more control within the situation his plan is working in. In the end, this is close to decide, and depending on which is valued more, there's a fair argument for either of them. But to me, Moriarty's plans, while not having as impressive plans, can have just as impressive plans, while those plans work more long-term than Light's plans do, which gives this to Moriarty with hard difficulty. Moriarty won all the points, so he gets the total points of 31 and Light with a 0. Next is musical, and surprisingly this goes to Light, as Moriarty has really shown anything specific in this area. There's mostly just suggestions to his abilities in here, and while it could potentially be something impressive given what his other feats are like. Light, on the other hand, is shown being able to multitask, observing different televisions at once and noticing the ticking of his watches to tell what time it is. Light isn't really shown under this light much like Moriarty is either, but there's a little more to suggest Light's abilities in this area, which gives us to Light with hard difficulty, giving him the total points of 17 and Moriarty with a 0. Last is Naturalist, and the first category is understanding of elements. Both Moriarty and Light are known for their extremely impressive academic knowledge, Light getting perfect scores in everything and Moriarty being a mathematics teacher. With just this it's fairly even, but Moriarty has slightly more favoring him, and him actually using this knowledge more often when applying it to things such as recognizing the circumference of stairs he just started looking at, or knowing how to poison someone with grapefruits. Moriarty takes this with hard difficulty. Next is understanding of how elements work together. Again, this is close for similar reasons to the previous category. However, we see Light able to combine his knowledge of elements to invent his own trapdoor that allows him to hide the death note in his desk, where Moriarty doesn't really invent anything new with the knowledge of elements he has, only using what he already knows. Light takes this with hard difficulty. Last is understanding animal nature. Both are really good at this, knowing what makes someone do what. However, Light is better in practice, while Moriarty is better when it comes time to actually use it. Moriarty creates more plans that rely on his understanding of human nature, knowing how people act in any given situation, where there are times where Light might misjudge some human nature kinds of reactions. This is close, but Moriarty takes it with hard difficulty. Moriarty won more points, so he gets the total points of 18 and Light with 5. In the end, these two had a lot in common. Both manipulative and cunning planners, setting out to make the world a better place in their own ways. Light managed to do the best against Moriarty out of all the opponents, gaining a total of 73 points. However, it wasn't enough against the unstoppable force that is Moriarty, who gained the total points of 124. As said, Light and Moriarty are very similar, and both characters are very close in a lot of things, as these two are some of the most intellectually varied individuals in anime fiction and fiction in general. But where Light has only his one series, Moriarty has been adapted over decades of media, giving him time to get more and more impressive, which can be the reason for his winning. But as seen in the series, Moriarty is just as impressive, if not more so, than Light, and more consistent than Light is, which is why Moriarty won in the end. However, I know some of you are asking, does Light being the best match for Moriarty in this tournament also mean Light is smart than everyone Moriarty beat? The answer to that is not necessarily. In order to more accurately compare to which characters were more intelligent when using one character as reference to how the two other characters did against them, we cannot take the total points as the answers. For instance, Light did better in points against Moriarty than Sherlock did. But does that mean that Light is necessarily smarter than Sherlock? No. Although it may require its own comparison video, if we look at the difficulties in which Moriarty won certain categories over each opponent, Moriarty always took it with hard difficulty over Sherlock, where Moriarty might have also taken things over Light with medium or easy difficulty, thus showing that Moriarty and Sherlock are basically near even in a lot of ways, while Moriarty and Light are even at some things but drastically different in others. Moriarty is the winner of my Anime Intelligence tournament, and is classified as the current most intelligent anime character for now. So what did you think of this video and the tournament in general? Were my results and rankings fair, or do you disagree with some of the results? Are there any anime characters that you think could give Moriarty a run for his money that didn't appear in this tournament? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the series. Let me know as well if there's any future topics you wish to be discussed on this channel. Thanks for watching.